He's Jim Nantz, NFL on CBS, called the Super Bowl, and more importantly, had a picture of us in his pocket as he called the Super Bowl. So we sort of co-hosted the Super Bowl with Jim Nantz. Jim, you said you were going to do it, and you did it. Thank you.
It was automatic, my friend. Good morning. Hello, friends. I wanted you to feel like you were right there with me, and what a game to watch and be a part of. I'm still, you can probably hear it. As you know, I've been trying to come on the show for the last couple of days. Even had my voice down on Wednesday, laryngitis-like symptoms. But we're back, we're running, and I get to be back with you and the Danettes again. That's a good thing.
Has it hit you yet, not being involved in March Madness?
Wow. I mean, this is the first time I've been asked about it. I'm just coming out of the Super Bowl. But, I think last year I just felt so good about the plan, which was put in place in 21 to say goodbye in Houston. Listen, I've been knocked on my backside here with whatever it was that half the crew came down with after the Super Bowl. But I'm excited to actually have the month off and be able to go on a spring break with my kids and be able to do some things I haven't done in almost 40 years. So I love the tournament. I'm actually going to appear at the tournament a couple of places to cheer on my Houston Cougars. And I'll be at the Final Four in some very limited capacity and going to take in the games and sit in the stands and enjoy it as a fan.
Minutes before kickoff, what goes on with you and Tony, or producers, directors?
Well, it was very calm. We came on the air with this incredible tease, My Way, Frank Sinatra, with an orchestra in the Sphere. And it moved me because that's my favorite song of all time. It was so well done. It's got to win an Emmy. Pete Radovich and this amazing team put it together. And I was ready to go. There are elements to the show you have to be involved in. Most of it's just throwing it to commercial, teeing up Alan Roach, who's the NFL public address announcer, who does such a great job. And I couldn't wait for the game to start. So no real big memories of that, just trying to be exact.
But can you get too excited? Have you gotten too excited when you're calling a game?
Well, I think you have to modulate it. I really do. I think you have to be careful not to blow it out on random plays along the way. But listen, that comes with 40 years of experience of kind of knowing when to bring it and preserve that one gear that you have in reserve. And I mean, we had some lag time there in the first half without a lot of big plays. We had the throwback with the touchdown pass from Jennings to McCaffrey, but there wasn't a whole lot to speak of. But by the end of the game, it was riveting, and you were hitting those higher notes, so to speak.
And you talked about that ball being in the air a long time. I mean, we're watching it, and you're right. You're like, wow, that's in the air a long time. And, then they end up scoring that touchdown.
Well, I think if the defender, Bolton, hadn't been chipped, I think it could have been a touchdown in the other direction. I mean, it was an amazing play. I certainly didn't see when Jennings was trying to get the ball back across the field that it was going to produce a touchdown. But, hey, listen, I haven't gone back and looked at the game yet. You still play it in your head 100 million times. And I'm just really proud of all the women and men that were a part of this. It's a crew of over 1,000 strong. And as you know now, it's been out there. It's the most watched single show in the history of television. So it might even actually, because of the fact that it went 5 quarters, you got Taylor sitting in the stands and being shown, or sitting in a suite being shown. I think that the rating might hold up. Usually you kind of pass it on. The next year it gets topped, and the next year it gets topped. You just kind of leapfrog one another. But I think this one's actually going to be in place for a long, long time as the most watched show in the history of American television.
Halftime is what, 3 times longer than it normally is for a game? What do you do during halftime and then try to ramp back up to have that energy?
I got to have my hot dog first off. And it was a really good hot dog, I have to say.
Is there a person? Is there a hot dog person in Jim Nantz's life? No, there's not. Okay.
No, but it's interesting. When I first started doing the NFL back in the 80s, it wasn't automatic that you get a hot dog or a tray of hot dogs delivered to the booth. That's all set up by the teams. We don't ask for anything, but they cater it. And sometimes you get them, sometimes you wouldn't. Now it's universal. So I don't eat a hot dog. I will not have another hot dog until week 1 of the NFL season. But during the season, Dan, it's absolutely essential. I have to have a hot dog at halftime. I'm a ritualistic guy, as you know. So I don't finish it though. I save the last bite or two, so I feel good about myself, and I'll throw it in the garbage. But my great friend Sam Farmer observed this. He's, of course, out Los Angeles Times and brilliant writer. But he was in the booth and stopped by during the AFC Championship game, and he observed it. And he wrote a little vignette about it. He said, "I travel my own ketchup," which got some reaction from some people. Like, you put ketchup on a hot dog? And I used to be a mustard guy, but now, ever since I have 2 young children, they go ketchup. And Kevin McHale, our Kevin McHale, in the booth, who's been with us for over 30 years, travels a bottle of ketchup.
Okay.
I didn't ask him to, but it makes life easier, because when you go back and you get your hot dog and you're on the clock, you get those little packets and you're trying to tear them open, and invariably they splatter all over your tie or shirt, and one of them's never enough, and you're trying to like bite off the end of it and get 2 or 3. So that's it. Halftime is 3/4 of a hot dog, and I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them now until September the 10th.
We're talking to Jim Nantz, of course, the lead voice with CBS, and he'll be there at the Masters. Watching Tiger yesterday, like I'm trying to figure out bigger picture. What is Tiger going to do with golf? Can you see a senior tour? How many events? You do not see senior tour?
I don't see that, because I think he could still be competitive out here, believe it or not. I know that we don't have a big sample size since his ankle surgery last April after the Masters, and that's the last time he'd played before yesterday. But, well, he played in, of course, some of the December tournaments that the father-son event. Those aren't official, and the one down in the Bahamas that he hosts. But he's still hitting it out there, as long as, the top third of the tour. And he's Tiger Woods. So I thought it was pretty impressive yesterday that he shot 72 in his first competitive round, excuse me, in 9 months. So the senior tour, that's not in his mindset right now. He's going to need a good round today, because the field gets trimmed to top 50 in ties, or anyone within 10 shots of the lead. And he's hovering right around 50th out of the 70-man field. But he's hosting. He's back. He's playing a little bit later today. And if he doesn't make the cut, I anticipate he'll be spending some of the weekend sitting up in the booth next to me and Trevor Immelman hosting his tournament.
But then there's something about Augusta.
He'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll be. I really think that we have to watch this. We'd still have to see if he can walk 72 holes without his endurance and his swing falling apart, because everything's a little bit off with his balance and distribution of weight, etc. I'm talking science here. I'm not qualified to do, especially when it comes to Tiger. But I actually think that he'll be competitive at Augusta this year.
You had the call of Kansas City jackpot. When does that come to you, that if they happen to win, you're going to use that?
As they're marching down the field, I knew I wanted to put something that had to do with Las Vegas. And then moreover, I'm so glad you brought this up, because you sparked it. You had Brent on last week, Brent Musburger, right before I came on the show. And I had dinner the previous evening with Brent, and I idolized Brent. I have since I walked in the door in 1985. And Brent was the play-by-play voice of the Raiders up until a year ago. You know that. And he used to use jackpot in his touchdown calls for the Raiders. So during the broadcast on Sunday, they introduced the next Hall of Fame class to be inducted in Canton in August. And it just came to me as they were out there, and we put up a graphic with all the names, all the great deserving figures. And it just came to me on the spot. kind of like Jackpot did, that this was a window with a very big audience to get across the message that you started. And that was that Brent Musburger needs to receive the Pete Rozelle Award for media excellence and be in the broadcaster's wing of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I took it upon that moment.
No, it was great.
To say it.
I appreciate it.
And I felt really good about it. And, you should feel good about it. And you started it. And then to be able to have the touchdown call in Las Vegas, where he lives, was some derivative of the way he used to call touchdowns for the Raiders. It felt right. It's not something I went into the game thinking that's what I was going to do. First off, you can't imagine you're going to have a walk-off touchdown for a game that's going to go 5 quarters. So, yeah, I'm really proud that I could channel Brent in that call.
It was great. I know you're struggling with your voice. I appreciate you joining us, and maybe let your wife have some room to talk a little bit. Maybe you just listen now when you're at home. Okay.
Well, I'm going to go out this morning and have breakfast with our good friend Al Michaels and some other buddies. And I think you're having Doc on.
Are you gonna play golf with Al?
I'm gonna try to play a few holes. I told him I can't guarantee I'm gonna go 3 or 4, 5 holes. Maybe I'll make it 9 holes. But I'm planning on teeing it up. And the point is, you got to tell Doc, because this was Doc's daily game. So I'm supplanting Doc in the foursome. He definitely would have been playing if he wasn't coaching.
Okay. Does Al call your shots? Does he do play-by-play on you and you do Al's call play-by-play? Do you believe in double bogeys? Yes.
That's going to be parroted here a little bit later. We call each other shots, and it's a lot of fun. I play more golf in a year with Al than I do any other individual. So whatever that adds up to, I probably play 15 times a year. Maybe 6 or 7 of them are with Al. And we settle into a pretty good flow of things. We're both, I can't speak for Al. My game's going in the wrong direction right now. Hopefully we can rally a little bit here with some time off in March, but I'm looking forward to it. And please thank Doc for opening up a spot in the foursome.
Great to talk to you. Tell Al we said hello. Thanks again, Jim.
Thanks, Dan, and all the Danettes. Love you guys.
Jim Nantz, Hall of Famer. Hello, friends. And no March Madness for him this year, but he'll be there at Augusta. We want to thank Mercedes-Benz. The interview of the day with Jim Nantz, who joined us last hour. The all-electric EQE sedan from Mercedes-Benz. Hundreds of customizable comfort settings inside the cabin. The vehicle all-electric. The feeling all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQE.